Hi, my name's Alan Skinner. I'm the director of the Lean Six Sigma Business Excellence Institute, and in partnership with the University of Technology Sydney, or UTS, we provide a very full range of organisational improvement and organisational excellence programs. The purpose of this particular podcast is to talk in greater detail about Black Belt Stage 1 or the Green Belt program. In previous podcasts, I've talked about the whole Black Belt program and our approach to the design of the whole Black Belt program. The first stage, Black Belt Stage 1 or the Green Belt program, follows on from people who might have participated or hopefully have participated in a foundational program around organisational improvement or Lean Six Sigma. And in that context, come to the Green Belt program with perhaps a project in mind or some background knowledge around the concepts of organisational improvement, what is Lean, what is Six Sigma, and so on, which can then be expanded upon. And that's the best way of entering the Black Belt Stage 1 of the Green Belt program, certainly on the basis of our experience when people come with something to work on. In that context, before you even come to the program, once you're enrolled, you receive some templates. In particular, you are asked to come up with some ideas for an improvement project, the beginnings of an improvement project, if you like, the core concepts. What is the problem? What do you think are the objectives, and so on. So to come to the Black Belt program with some thought given to that, because during the Black Belt Stage 1 Green Belt program, people actually practice using that example from the workplace. So if it's a real situation that in fact during the 5 days you progress your project, and leaving the workshop you're able to go back and continue that project, perhaps enroll in certification and submit that work for certification purposes. So that's how perhaps one might start the Green Belt. Of course, you've got to enroll in the program. Now, this program goes for 5 days, Monday to Friday. For particular organisations, we've broken that up to suit organisations and their needs. But for public programs, it's 5 straight days. Those programs are fairly intense. We start at 8:30, we finish at 5:30. They're full days in that context. Black Belt Stage 1 or the Green Belt program is run at least quarterly, so once a quarter through a year. However, its place as the beginning of the Black Belt sequence in the middle of the year is also key, because it offers people the opportunity to do Black Belt Stage 1, then Stage 2, then Stage 3. You do not have to complete certification at the Green Belt level to then enter into Black Belt Stages 2 and 3 in June and July. So certainly a core time when the Black Belt Stage 1 or the Green Belt program is run is in May. And of course, if you've done it any other time of the year, then you don't need to do that stage. If you try to enroll in the rest of Black Belt, you would just simply enter into Stages 2 and 3. Let me now talk about the purpose or objectives of Black Belt Stage 1, Green Belt, and then the structure of the program and so forth. The purpose is fundamentally to initiate the building of knowledge, skill, experience, competence as a improvement project manager, facilitator, internal consultant for improvement, etc., whichever language or label you choose to use for the role. But the notion is that you're bringing value to the organisation through your ability to actually execute improvement projects that deliver measurable improvement that can be sustained. And the competencies you need behind that is what is being established to start off with. Given this is a spiral curriculum, foundational concepts and knowledge is part of what's established in the first module or so. And that is to place organisational improvement in the context of the whole development of this field over time, and certainly with the contributions of major people such as Edwards Deming, Joseph Juran and others. And so really trying to understand core concepts, foundational principles, for example, the principles that Deming enunciated, are part and parcel of the first module. We've talked about how important it is for someone in such a role to have a real understanding of people and skills and capability to study how people are actually interacting with one another, what are the processes that are going on, and so forth. So understanding facilitation and models of facilitation, the beginnings of understanding change management models and related analysis tools and therefore techniques are part and parcel of this program, and there is a clear module dedicated to this subject, but then that's integrated all the way through the rest of the modules which are built around the methodology. So the foundational program certainly covers what's emerged out of the Lean Six Sigma work and literature over a period of time, in the sense that the modules are very much tied to the structure of the methodology. The acronym DMAIC, or define, measure, analyze, develop or design solutions, pilot if you need to, implement, and then control. So the bulk of the modules in the program are built around these areas. And fundamentally, the majority of the time is spent through the first four odd modules, because much of the learning is then repeated elsewhere. For example, in the define module, we cover off skills around really crafting the core concept of establishing a project, that is to use techniques like the cause-consequence diagram to structure a good problem statement that leads to the logic behind why you have certain objectives, why the measures are set that way, and therefore the scope of the project, and so forth. One of the planning tools that we use that's rarely found in the literature and practice these days is the use of learning cycles. That was certainly encouraged and prompted by Edwards Deming and Walter Schuhart, which seemingly has gone out of practice. These learning cycles are a key piece to the management of change, the engagement of people, the discipline of bringing about change. That is a measurable improvement. And so we introduce people to the notion of learning cycles as a means of getting on top of what's happening in a project. And other tools that are used invariably in the define phase, such as linkage of process diagrams, SIPOC diagrams, critical to quality methods of analysis, and so forth. The measure phase is certainly dealt with in great detail as well. This deals with areas of variation and understanding of those concepts, the fundamentals of measurement and measurement evaluation, the collection of data, at least at the descriptive level, and understanding those descriptive analysis concepts, the graphical representation of data, and then the use of run charts, at least the interpretation of control charts, the concept of capability and the use of histograms to represent capability, the calculation of process sigma, and of course the use of Excel and Minitab in this kind of analysis. And of course what's covered in measure in that sense is applicable as well in the pilot, implement and control stages. The analyze phase covers the whole notion of developing theory about what's happening, or an explanation of what's happening grounded in observation. One of the things we talk to people about is the importance of observation. Good science is predicated on good observation, asking good questions, and therefore we go back to the role of the facilitator in really picking up skills in understanding group dynamics and group processes as it interacts with process itself. We encourage people to realise that it's not just about the study of process, but also the study of people, and building understanding out of that is what leads to effective solution development. So in the analyse phase, we certainly get into cause and effect diagrams and Pareto charts and scatter plots, lean techniques around waste analysis and value stream analysis in particular, and those sorts of analytical techniques that are grounded in the Lean and Six Sigma thinking. And of course, again, we touch on software tools like Quality Companion in that context. I have to say that the use of Quality Companion, or the reference to Quality Companion, is at a higher level. And similarly, whilst we get into much greater detail with Minitab, the purpose of Green Belt or Black Belt Stage 1 is not to help people understand the full application of the software tools. One can do that by going to Minitab and understanding the functionality of the software tools. We give people a pretty good understanding and practical use of Minitab in particular, but touch more on the use of Quality Companion as a support project management tool, which is then expanded on in Black Belt Stages 2 and 3. In the design or develop solutions phase, we deal with the concept of change again and the development of change packages that really pick up what is intended in the implementation and the sustainability of the changes, things like that need to be thought up front. The use of things like 6 hats as a creativity technique, ways of setting priorities for solutions, decision-making tools from that point of view, as well as some of the techniques that emerge as solutions out of lean thinking, such as visual management, 5S, error proofing. We're finding that these solutions out of lean thinking are becoming more and more solutions that people are using as we look at the broad range and a large number of portfolios of work that people have submitted over the years. And then of course we deal with the pilot phase. Why would you run such a pilot? The process of setting one up, and similarly with implementation, some of the rollout considerations and so forth, which often ties back into either the work we've covered in measure or in the develop stage. And finally, we talk about the control phase and the ongoing sustainability of the work. Again, this is reinforced by what we've covered earlier. So that in an overview is the approach to Black Belt Stage 1, or the Green Belt phase of the whole program. As you can see, this is meant to establish foundational concepts, skills, and capability that someone could then go and take on a moderate size improvement project and develop experience and practice. The design of the program includes many opportunities to actually practice the use of tools and techniques and analysis and so forth, as well as to practice in the context of a case study which has a degree of complexity built into it. The case study components are led by individuals who then practice the role of a green belt, and at the end of the piece of work that they've done, they receive feedback. And of course the feedback is on the one hand practice around the feedback technique, but also is an opportunity for teams to actually consider what works and what doesn't work when one is actually facilitating a team in this way. Many people have found this learning process as being an excellent one. Finally, let me talk about certification as it relates to Black Belt Stage 1 or Green Belt. Following on from the program, as someone chooses to, they can enroll in the certification process. As I mentioned in an earlier podcast, This constitutes 70% of the work. And in that, once you enroll, you then complete a project, a real project in an organisation, and you're given support around that. You have 12 months to complete it. More will be said in the certification podcast. Now that brings me to the assessment component that relates to the workshop, which is the other 30% of certification. So at the end of the 5 days, you actually complete 30% of your certification assessment on the basis of 2 types of assessment. One is an assignment piece, which is assignment work people complete in the evening or in the actual workshop sessions during the 5 days. The other form of assessment is a short 30 minutes assessment, which people complete at the end of the 5th day. So the marking on the basis of that constitutes 30% of the certification for black belt stage 1 or green belt. As I also mentioned, it is possible to move into stage 2 and 3 without completing certification, but to be certified as a black belt, you need to at some point complete a project at the black belt stage 1 or green belt level.